This is Erin reporting live from the Houston International Airport. I'm actually waiting for my flight to Quito, Ecuador, which is about to depart in a few minutes. This is going to be the first stop of my amazing adventure to the Galapagos Islands. Now, something that you may not know about me is that I've actually lived in Ecuador for 3 months back in 2010 when I was completing an internship at the US Embassy. But I have never visited the Galapagos Islands. Come join me and let's go explore the Galapagos together. All right, so this is my seat, 1A. It's about 12:30 a.m. and we just landed in Quito. The last time I was here was 2010, so it's been a while. Super excited to be back. Buenos dias, everyone. Good morning. So just started my first day here in Ecuador. Right now I'm visiting the Intiñan Equator Museum near Quito, where we're going to learn more about physics and the effects of gravity being at the middle of the earth, and also take a picture standing on the Northern and Southern Hemispheres.
So my friends, now it is the time to say welcome to the middle of the planet Earth, okay? It is the actual and the official line that we calculated with the military GPS 23 years ago, okay? So, welcome to this point. Northern Hemisphere, it is that side, and Southern Hemisphere, this point. And here it is the time to say that if you don't have a picture of the place where you go, that means that that never happens, okay? After that, I'm going to explain you the history about of this point, because people says that the history of this place, it is that the French discovered this point in 1736, and also the GPS 23 years ago by the satellites. But that's not true. Our native people from here, they knew that this was the center of the earth long time ago by the road of the sun. And all of that history, I'm going to explain it right in this part, okay? In the middle of the world, or the latitude zero, our ancestors, the native people from here, they use different instruments like this one, okay? And know that in your country, the name of this, it is sundial, right? And the shadow from this instrument around of your country, Canada or United States, it is all the time like this. That's why it works like a sundial in your country. But in my country, the things are different. We are in the center of the earth. For the inclination of the planet and also the movement of the earth, the sun works for 6 months in this part of the earth and 6 months in the other side. From March to September here, September to March here. And the shadow that you see all the time in this area, we can see in both sides. 6 months in this side and 6 months in the other side. The shadow in my country represents the planting season or the harvest time. And we understand when the shadow, it is working in the Northern Hemisphere like this, that in my country it is the perfect time to plant and to harvest the tender crops of the land. But when the shadow changed the position to this part, it is when they harvest the dry grains and they rest and prepare the land. That is how the indigenous groups around this point complete 1 year. March, June, September, and December 21st. Dates that in your countries are the equinoxes and solstices, right? So in that transition, when the sun passed to this side or this side, twice a year, 21st of March and September, the sun, it is straight up in the middle, straight up in the line. It is when in those days, the shadow doesn't move in a semicircle like this, and in those days, the shadow works around of this part of the line. At 6 a.m., when the sun it is in that side, the shadow in this point, it is working in this side. But according of how the sun is coming to this area, the shadow is going to be shortest. At noon, the sun is here in the center, the sun rises, falls perpendicular, and it is when the shadow disappears for 3 minutes at noon. That is how our local people discovered this was the center of the earth long time ago by this, the road of the sun, okay? And this happens just 21st of March and September. The rest days of the year, the shadow moves like this or like this, okay? Here, and here the sundial has 2 phases for how the sun works in this area. As I mentioned to you, 6 months here and 6 months here. When the sun it is working in the south, it is when you see this phase in action, or how the sun projects the shadow in this part. But please come to the other side. When you see that phase in action, that means that in this side, nothing happens. If you want to look the shadow or how the sun projects the shadow from this stick, you need to come back the other 6 months of the year. From March to September, when the sun is working here, it is when you see this phase in action, but nothing in this side. Twice a year, the sun is straight up in the center, and we don't have shadow in both sides of this clock. That means no time or party time. It is when we make different festivities to say thank you so much to the sun and the earth for everything in the year. The really says that depending how far you are from the equator, it is where you can see the force in action. Far away from the equator, the force of the water stronger. But look at what's happening here. Did you look that is spinning? Yeah, which was the way of the spinning?
Clockwise?
Like the cycle of the watch. Cyclone is spinning in clockwise direction. That's why the name of that storm is that. Now let's move this now to not Canada because it is too cold. Let's move this to Florida. Now, mis amigos, here I need a volunteer. Who wants to help me? Maybe you, my friend? Sure. Just pull out the plug of the sink at 3, okay? Everybody ready? Yes?
Sí.
Sorry, I can hear you. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
1, 2, and 3.
Wow.
What's your name, my friend?
Connor.
Connor. Connor. So, my friend, is Connor a good magician? Yes, it is, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened, my friend. Thanks for your assist. But also it is Coriolis. The Coriolis effect influence on everything what is moving on the earth, and that is how the water is spinning in the northern and southern hemisphere. But remember that in the equator, nothing happens. That's why all of the forces are in the middle. It goes straight down to the center of the earth. And if you try to balance an egg and a nail around of your country for the axis of the planet, which is 23.5 degrees, the mass of the egg is going to one side north or the other way around in the south. But here, the forces are going straight down, and that's why when you try to balance the egg on the nail, you can feel it how the inside of the egg falls straight down to the bottom of the egg. That's why in a second, you can do that.
I'm gonna try the egg challenge. Yeah. Okay.
It is for you.
This is really hard.
So the middle of the world, or the latitude 000, it is not just here in my country. The equator line crosses another 12 countries than Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, and Ecuador in South America. In Africa, per different parts, but the popular points in Africa are Uganda and Kenya. Also, different islands are on the line: Maldives, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Galapagos. The question of the group or the people usually is, Arnold, if this line crosses in different points of the earth, why Ecuador it is the most popular point here?
Yeah, ¿por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
Good marketing. People says that it is the good marketing. The name of this country is Ecuador, like the equator, but it is not. Just in my country, we have mountains, elevations. The shape of the planet, it is flatter poles and wider in the center, and that's why here we are in the highest point and farthest point from the center of the earth versus the other countries around of the line. Here and here on the line, they have jungle. Africa, the territory is flat, okay? Elevation, it is lower, and the other points are islands above sea level. But just here, we're in the highest point of the earth, far away from the center of the earth and closest to the sun. That's why Ecuador becomes popular versus the other 12 countries on the line. And also that's why here in Ecuador, the force of gravity, it is less versus in your country. In your countries, it is 9.81 meters per square seconds. But in my country, it is 9.76 meters per square seconds. That's why here in my country, we understand that your weight is less, 1 kilo less versus in your country of your origin. Okay?
Nice.
So that helps to eat more chocolate here. Of your origin. Lady, what is the machine that we use to prove our weight at home? As you can see, at this point we don't have the skills. Why? That's because physics says when the force of gravity changes the weight in your bodies, that force doesn't affect the mass or muscles from your body. Mass or muscles is the same in everywhere. Okay? To prove how the gravity changed the weight in your bodies, here we use another test. The name, resistance. The relation for resistance in our body, it is mass per weight. When the gravity is less, weight is less, and as a result, the resistance in this point, it is less versus in north or southern hemisphere. Now, for the curve of the planet, depending how far you are from here to that side or that side, the gravity change, it is more. And that means that your resistance is higher in that area. But in this point, less gravity, less resistance in your body. Let's prove that. Making a straight line on this side. Okay? Straight line in this point. Here it is to walk straight on the line with heel to toe, with arms out, with chin up and eyes closed. When you try to do that right in Here you can feel how the centrifugal force, like the washing machine, here it is, push everything from here to the outside, northern and southern hemisphere. When you try north or south, the pulling of the earth is just to one way, and to balance yourself, you. So, madam, you're gonna do that first.
It's gonna be embarrassing.
One foot in front with the other, arms out, chin up, and eyes closed. This is like a sobriety test. The alcohol test. How many tequilas did you drink in the morning? Did you feel? Chin up. Keep going, keep going. Excelente. Lady, welcome to Peru. If you have problems with your shoulders, please, with you I'm going to do another exercise, okay? You don't have problems with shoulders? You have problems? Okay, 1, 2, 3. The three of you, another exercise, okay? For the rest of you, put your arms in this position, please. Arms like this. So if you have problems with shoulders, with your dominant hands, put your fingers in this position, okay? Instructions for you. You need to raise your fingers very strong. I'm going to try to offer your fingers. Please, only do that. For the rest of you, your arms in this position. I'm going to try to push down your arms. Don't let me do that. Try to resist. Try to push it out your hands, okay? 1, 2, 3. Push up and resist. Keep going. Excellent, sir. Push up. Push up. Excellent. Push it up. Excellent. Push up. Push up. Now to feel how the gravity affects the resistance of your body, this time I'm going to try all of the experiments with my pinky finger. Arms out. 17.
What?
Did you feel that?
Yes.
Look at this.
No se puede tratar así el huevo.
Even if you try to buy back, it's crazy. Did you feel it? No.
Wow, I don't know about you guys, but I thought this was very interesting. I think my favorite experiment was actually trying to walk on a straight line on the equator. I didn't think I would lose my balance, but it was hard. So now we're gonna go on a city tour of the historic center of Quito. We're starting our city tour of the historic center of Quito, and first stop is the Basilica del Voto Nacional, which is right behind me. Wait, what'd you say?
This is the Pope John Paul II.
Oh, why is he there? Why?
He came to Ecuador in 1985 for the first time, and he blessed the church.
Basilica del Voto Nacional. Wow.
Notre Dame of Paris. So in that other church you have the gargoyles, but here instead of that animals, you can see animals that belongs to the Ecuadorian fauna, especially from the Galapagos Islands.
Wow.
We have in this part some prehistoric animals, but in the other side we have also the blue-footed boobies, red-footed boobies, frigates from Galapagos Islands. And in that part is the Tower of the Condor. This is the highest point. This is 150 meters because that is the amount for the condor to fly. You know, the condor is the national bird. It's the symbol of the Andean country. So it's in our national the coat of arms and in the flag also. In that part you have a cemetery that is for the presidents, Ecuadorian presidents. But right now we have just 4 presidents that are buried here. So you can see also this part.
You said the church is quite new?
Yes, the first stone was placed in 1890. Yes.
1990.
1890. Yes. The other churches are older than this one. This is the cemetery for Ecuadorian presidents, but just 4 presidents are buried here. So it was because one of the head of the construction of this church, that was Julio Maria Matovelle, the director of the community of the Oblates, the religious. managed this church, he traveled to Spain and he visited the Escorial Palace. That is also for the president. So he wanted to do something like that in our country. So the design of this church was made by Emilio Tardier, a French architect. So that is why it's similar to Notre Dame.
So now we're in the Centro Histórico de Quito, the historic center of Quito. I read in Google that it's actually the most well-preserved historic center in Latin America, so it looks very nice. And it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So here's a fun fact about Quito. It is the oldest of all the South American capitals. Another interesting fact is that it is the second highest capital city in the world with an elevation of 2,850 meters. The only capital city that is higher is La Paz in Bolivia.
We already visited our Bishop's Palace, so this is the main square or the Independence Square. Is the most. It was not the first that was built, but this is the most representative. So this is surrounded by four important buildings that represents the political power and the religious power. So we have the Bishop's Palace this way, the religious, the Bishop's Palace. In the other side, we have the cathedral, that is also the religious power. To the left side, we have, this is the political power, represented by the municipal palace, that is the mayor of the city. And in that way, we have the Carondelet Palace, or presidential palace. This is the office of the president and also the residence when he wants to live here with his family. So the current president that was elected has to live here right now with his family because they are from the coast region. So this is presidential palace. It was named Carondelet Palace in the colonial time by a very beloved president of the Real Audiencia de Quito. That was Luis Héctor Barón de Carondelet.
Now we're just walking through the old town. Looks like it might rain in any minute. Hola, ¿qué sabor es? ¿Fresa?
Sí,
¿Y este? ¿Qué?
guayaba.
Guayaba. Ah, gracias. It's time for lunch. Let's see what I'm eating. This is an Ecuadorian dish called tortillon. Here you got steak, rice, yapingacho, which is a potato cake, topped with a fried egg, and salad here. Yummy, yummy, yummy! Just got back to the hotel now. It's the end of day one, which included the tour of the Centro Histórico de Quito and the visit to the Mitad del Mundo, middle of the world. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow for the start of the adventure to the Galapagos Islands. Hasta mañana!